A far north housing provider says people in desperate need of housing are suffering because the government-run Maori housing network isn't working properly. But there's no sign of a dedicated Maori housing unit that was promised by the Labour Party before the election. And the Minister for Maori Development, Nanaia Mahuta, can't guarantee that one will be established as a solution to the housing crisis facing Maori. Te Manu Korehi reporter John Boynton has more.
Ruben Taipari works in the far north for Te Ahikaaroa Trust, which provides homes for families in Northland. The winterless north, he says, is facing huge struggles with homelessness as the winter months kick in.
Every day we wait is another day closer to winter, and every winter decimates our people. It's detrimental to the health of our people as we wait for another winter and another winter.
The Maori housing network, set up under Te Puni Kokiri, secured $37 million worth of funding over 6 years in 2015 to support Maori housing. However, Ruben Taipari says the network in its current form isn't effective in dealing with housing issues in Northland.
You've got to deal with that before you even start counting out timber, lineage and bricks and mortar. The best way to do it is to give the best support that you can to establish housing providers that are in their regions.
His message to Nanaia Mahuta is clear. Listen to the Maori housing providers who actually work with people in the regions.
It would be just to come and listen to the local whānau and hapu and to the providers who've been doing this work for 20 to 30 years. They're the ones with the ideas. Leave the politics at home and just come and listen to the ideas that we have.
Nanaia Mahuta says Labour's pre-election promise to set up a Māori housing unit is still on the table. Labour promised to establish a Māori housing unit within the Affordable Housing Authority to ensure housing policies are tailored to meet the specific needs and aspirations of Māori.
A Māori housing unit, which currently resides now within the context of Te Puni Kokiri Māori Development, is a serious consideration that both the Minister of Housing and myself are thinking about as we work our way forward.
Ms Mahuta says there hasn't been a major focus on Māori housing in decades.
The last big push in Māori housing was in the 1950s, where we did get a concerted effort around Māori home ownership, so we know more needs to be done.
More needs to be done, but Ms Mahuta won't say when. She says the government is currently working on the Māori housing strategy, which will be aligned with the New Zealand housing strategy.
I think it's important to have a point of differentiation around Māori housing as we look at issues around papakainga, building on Māori land, as well as Māori contribution to social housing and iwi contribution, as well as Kiwi Build, and ensuring that Māori and Pacific, who are the least represented in home ownership rates, can benefit from those policies.
Ro Hoskins is the chairman of the independent Māori housing advisors Te Matapihi. He says the government should look back to the days when it was easier for Māori to get loans.
Perhaps looking back to the Māori Housing Act of 1935, which is still on the books, and to effectively make sure that there is a identifiable and well-resourced unit which is able to make Māori housing its single priority.
Under the Māori Housing Act of 1935, Ro Hoskins says Māori could get Māori Affairs loans to build on Māori land. That lasted until the early 1990s, when it was absorbed into mainstream housing policies. Since then, Māori home ownership rates have plummeted, down by nearly a third between 1991 and 2013.
From that period of time, Māori housing has been mainstreamed, and if you look at the graph, the numbers have pretty well flatlined.
After meeting with Ms Mahuta and the Housing Minister Phil Twyford, Ro Hoskins says he remains hopeful of a solution. But back in the far north, Ruben Taipari says he's getting tired of waiting while the housing crisis gets worse. Mo te hotaka o te ahi pōnei, ko John Boynton ahau.